Some new concerns at America's southern and northern borders. Security officials say that threats remain following the arrests of 8 men from Tajikistan this month. Now, those 8 men allegedly have ties to the terror group ISIS, entered the U.S. through the southern border with Mexico. And looking north, illegal crossings at the U.S.-Canada border have doubled what they were last year. Joining me right now to discuss all of this is Mark Dannels, Sheriff of Cochise County in Arizona. Thank you so much for being with us, Sheriff.
Thanks for having me, Adrienne.
So let's start right now with these suspects from Tajikistan. Initially, they had reports that came up clean. So is it still a case of where these agencies, whether federal, local, are just not communicating smoothly with one another?
It's not so much they're not communicating, Adrienne. When these people come to the southern border from over 160 countries, I think it was last week they told me, DHS leadership told me it was 165 countries. There's nothing to vet them with. It's not like so I stop a car in Arizona, I can check in New York what they've done. We can do that within the United States. You can't do that from a lot of these countries. We have no idea who they are. They're released. And then in this case, they found out later they had ties to ISIS.
And that, to me, is what I think many Americans are frustrated by, because if they come in from a country, we're not going to have a criminal background on these people who come in who have ties to a terror group. And then there's something that flags them later, which is at least encouraging that they found out down the road. But when you look at the numbers, reportedly, those numbers at the southern border, they're down by 40% in 3 weeks since President Biden's executive action. So is this a win for the current administration, or are the numbers so astronomically high that it's far too soon to make a victory lap?
Well, let me say the first thing, and it's a feel-good headline, all the way from the timing of the executive order to what they're saying, 40%. I just ask our DHS liaison for sheriffs, national sheriffs, to run the numbers. We're 9% down based on the numbers I got just a couple of days ago, 9% down from last year's numbers, and they were 19% down from last month. So the numbers are down 40%. I don't know where the math's coming on that. There's different ways of doing math, as we all know.
Yeah.
But the concern is the fact that we can share those numbers and say, hey, we're down 40%, let's celebrate. Or we can talk genuine to the people and say, we have a concern. Let's look at the 2 million people that we know, which is a nominal number, that we know came in the country as gotaways. They're out there somewhere. And you look at the ISIS, the Islamic countries coming here that don't like America. We should be standing up and uniting as a country to stop this flow in our country, northern border, coastal, and in southern.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'm sure all the people watching right now are saying, can somebody please just tell us what's going on? Because nobody wants to think that, you know, we are so unsafe that people can just come through who have ties to terror groups. But there have been flags raised by high-level agencies, including in Washington, D.C. So speaking of illegal crossings, the northern border with Canada, that's been largely underreported. I'm so proud to say that NewsNation has paid attention to what's happening at the northern border. The increase in numbers, though, very concerning. There's no wall, there's no gate, there's not a lot of security. There aren't many officers, actually, at all. There's like a monument that says you're now in America. Could these numbers be a prediction that we'll see a repeat of what's happening at our southern border, at our northern border?
Well, it truly, Adriana, it's truly, you know, we're all concentrating on the southern border. And I've talked to my northern border sheriffs, our folks from DHS, CBP that work that northern border, and they're seeing a huge surge on our northern border. And the cartels, the terrorist organizations, they don't care how they get here. All they need to know is that we're vulnerable. And right now we are vulnerable, whether it's coastal, southern, or northern. So again, seal one part of it or concentrate on one side, and you leave another side open, they're coming through there. It's just like water. It finds the easiest route. And in this case, we need to do a better job, but we got to be genuine. That starts at President Biden. It starts with the Congress, U.S. Congress, that take an oath to protect our borders and our country.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody wants to just be safe. We thank you for all of that you do and your agency does. Thank you so much, Sheriff Dannels. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.